All right. So this brother left a comment. He says he's an immigrant. I haven't read through his comment, so you're going to hear me respond to it as I go. I just thought it was, a well written, well thought out post. I can tell just by the way that the paragraphs are broken down. Um, I have not read through this, but when people take the time to write well thought out responses and it's not just bullshit, again, and this is too many paragraphs for it to be bullshit. So I'm going to read through it and I'm just going to give my response on the fly as I go. So this is from Master ZX and he says, deep breath. Okay, I'm going in. And mind you, this is in response to the video that I did about what's the title of the video? Self-hate, jealousy, and superiority complex. I was actually about to make a part two and touch on a few other things. I was on my way out the door, so that's why that video was only 14 minutes long. I was pressed for time. Because like I said, since I'm not making any money off of this, actually putting in significant amounts of time is not in my best interest. So, but like I've said before, I've told people before, having these discussions is therapeutic for myself, and I'm sure it's therapeutic for many other people. But as you can tell, over time, my demeanor has changed, and there's certain things that I'm intolerant of now, and it's just exhausting because I'm just tired. I'm tired of people having bullshit conversations, smoking mirrors, trying to get the bag, and it's no longer an intellectual conversation. It's just fluff. But anyway, continuing on with Master ZX, and he says, deep breath. Okay, I'm going in. First off, as a first generation American immigrant, I will let you know this. To be able to immigrate to a foreign country, especially a Western country, is a huge feat for an African, especially when it isn't a refugee, special case, or a diplomat. And for more insight in African countries, the darker your skin complexion, the more difficult it is in various ways. So for regular African persons to legally immigrate, there is also the barrier of colorism and stereotypes that exist in Africa as well. Let's get that clear. Well, this first paragraph doesn't make a whole bunch of sense because you're first the top. So basically, you're saying that the top people are the people that come into the countries that are in the West. So these are people that are already in better positions than the average population, like you talked about, refugee, special case, diplomat, and for more insight in Africa. So you started talking about the color thing, but I'm like right off top, and this has already been covered. Discussing how when you talk about especially African immigrants, the people that are coming here are some of the best. These are educated, upwardly mobile people. It's not like the U.S. Embassy is allowing, people, a bunch of skillless people, like, again, like you said, with the exception of like refugees and special cases. So right off top, you're taking the creme de la creme populations and bringing them to America. So at that point, your statement about colorism and the barriers is pretty much irrelevant. Because if you're able to get on a plane, because nobody's coming here by boat, if you're able to get on a plane out of Africa to come to America, you either are somebody or somebody. So what's the next one? Next paragraph. So for an African immigrant who succeeds in achieving this impossible feat of being accepted to enter the Western country, it is part of our objective to excel here because, after all, that is why we chose to leave our countries. Many developing, undeveloped African countries in the past do not offer the infrastructure to allow the common man to achieve the things our minds can imagine. Neither can we take advantage of the skills that we possess. Again, this is another contradiction. So, and what I mean by contradiction is, how can an African claim themselves to be superior? Because, like, basically you're saying, and see, again, how I got to organize my thoughts because I'm doing this shit in real time. And this is the first time I've read this. So, African immigrant who succeeds in achieving, this impossible feat. No, it's not impossible, because, again, the ones that come into the country are the best of the best already. You're not getting on a plane, meaning you got family members. Maybe your father is educated. Maybe your father, works for the government or something. That's where the majority, not all, but the majority of these people that are getting on the planes from Africa coming over here, or how they're getting over here. So this idea. So again, yes, the objective is to excel, once you get here, because yes, there is some difficulty in getting over here, even if you're a kick-ass African. But this notion that somehow, you're a part of the, like, in other words, like, you came from the bottom and now you're here. That's bullshit. That's very few cases of the Africans that come over here. Many of them were already in positions. Again, the tribalism in Africa, the hierarchies in Africa. It's like Africa's got damn near a caste system. The other thing, many developed, undeveloped countries pass infrastructure to allow, and see, this is where we look at you all Africans like, what business do you have to talk shit? Many developing and undeveloped African countries in the past do not offer the infrastructure to allow the common man to achieve the things our minds can imagine. Neither can we take advantage of the skills that we possess. Whose fault is that? What is that? The fault of the African Americans? The ones that got sold into slavery? That's our fault? See, this is why we look at y'all like you have no business coming over here talking the shit that you do, the arrogant shit that you do, like you're better than us, or that you can somehow guide us or whatever, because you have your own land. You have your own sovereignty, your own nations, right? And yet you can't make it work. African Americans have nothing to do with why you don't have any infrastructure. African Americans have nothing to do with why you can't achieve the things that you're, trying to achieve or are achieving in America. We have nothing to do with that. And see, if I wanted to be an asshole about it, like the same way that you all are assholes about our plight and our situation in America, I could sit there and just completely ignore neo-colonialism or colonialism, or, Leopold II and, what he did in the Congo, or the way that the British came in and divided Nigeria up, or, put different ethnic groups that, can't work together, or give one ethnic group more power than the other, that causes a lot of the conflict that goes on in Africa. I can sit there and I could ignore all that and be like, oh, well, you Africans, you have your own land, your own sovereignty, and you can't make it work. You got your own natural resources, richest damn continent on the goddamn planet, and y'all can't make it work. And you talking about what's popping in the West. But you can't make it work in Africa because you got incompetent leaders. You have corrupt leaders. You have leaders who are in bed with the European powers and system of white supremacy. You just want to sit there and you want to just ignore all of that. We know it. We understand it. But when you come over here and you start talking shit about, oh, you African Americans, you have so much opportunity here, and you're not doing this and you're not doing that. And again, we're a group of people that had our language, culture, identity, religion, orientations, all that stripped from us. And the only model we had to go on off of was essentially what white people were doing. And again, if you go back and you look at the black and white photos of the 1950s, that's exactly what black people were doing. And white people still gave black people their ass to kiss. We came out of slavery with nothing but the clothes on our back. We're supposed to get 40 acres and a mule. Never got that shit. Was supposed to be Reconstruction. You know what I mean? Then they came up with Jim Crow and all other type of bullshit so that we couldn't vote for policies that benefited us. But yet you all come over here and you ignore all that shit. And then you got the audacity to talk shit when you couldn't even make shit work in your own country where you got your own land and your own sovereignty and your own government. So you got all them stupid asses sitting up in the damn Nigerian courts and shit with these damn European wigs on. And you guys got the audacity to talk about us being brainwashed. See, get me all excited. Continuing, using my experience as an example, I moved to the States in the early 2000s as a 9-year-old boy with my family, and initially I lived in the northern part of the country where it is mostly Caucasian Americans. Again, what did your parents do? What was the occupation of your father? You know what I'm saying? I know that they have like a green card lottery or whatever the hell it is. They got some sort of lottery where people, but I'm saying again, you need to be somebody, have some sort of skills. What were the circumstances that allowed your father to be able to do what you just got finished saying many other Africans are? What was the word that you used? Achieving this impossible feat. You said that. I didn't say that. Achieving this impossible feat. Okay, so what was it about the people in your family, whether it was your father or your mother or whoever, what was it about them that made them able to achieve or be able to achieve that impossible feat of being able to get on a plane and bring your ass over here at 9 years old? I believed every African person I'd see was also an African that immigrated. This was until I moved to the East Coast. Here was the first time I was surrounded by only African Americans, heard the word nigga for the first time, and best believe it was another nigga calling me that. I didn't understand the African American people, that were born here initially because their behavior was the exact opposite of us immigrants, which is to taking advantage of the opportunity of abundance. Again, if you guys have all this, we can take opportunity. What is the opportunity of abundance? Why can't you make it work in Africa? Why can't you make it work in Africa? Tell me why the Africans who can't make it work in Africa. We gonna see you got dictators. Okay, well, sounds to me you need to get rid of the dictators. They say, oh, well, we can't because, the Europeans, they come in there and they fund our enemies. And when we have a leader that doesn't operate in the best interests of Europe, they fund a coup. Because like I said, Africans don't manufacture their own weapons. So every time you see a civil war in Africa, who's in the shadows funding it? Where is Nicolas Cage walking around on some God of War type shit? Or excuse me, what was that? Was it not God of War? Lord of War. Excuse me. You don't even manufacture your own weapons. I mean, you guys you guys sit there and you talk about, oh, we come here and we take advantage of I'm trying to figure out why y'all can't make it work in Africa. Right? You talking about, oh, African Americans, y'all say the word nigga, and oh, again, you don't understand the culture, you don't understand the history. You just look and go, oh, look at them. Right? But I'm looking at you saying to myself, you got your own land, your own sovereignty. Why doesn't your country look like Wakanda? Tell me, if you have all these skills, if y'all can go to these universities and get PhDs and y'all got all these degrees and you can go work for some white corporation and do the damn thing, why can't you all bake a cake from scratch? Why not? Europeans did it. The Asians did it. The Japanese did it with the Meiji Restoration. They were riding around on horseback on some samurai shit. That's what they were doing. You saw, what was that movie with Tom Cruise? You saw The Last Samurai. You know what I'm saying? They was on horseback, riding around with the ugly samurai mask, Ikuzo, you know what I mean? Charging at each other and shit like that. That's what they were doing. And then, they kicked the Europeans out, but then they sent scholars to Europe to be educated. They used to trade, materials for European books of knowledge, like where they had the books and, everything was like drawn and sketched out and whatnot, looking like it was drawn by Leonardo da Vinci or some shit like that. They used to buy those. I think Okinawa was the only place that they were allowed to trade. But I'm saying, you tell me why the African didn't do any of that stuff. Again, I don't. You act like what I'm saying, and Africans will act like this. They'll act like what I'm saying is some new shit. I'm like, no, I can. What I'm saying was already stated by another African, Chika Oyanyani, in his book Capitalist Nigga. I suggest you read it, because that book is not written by an African American. That book is written by a Nigerian, and that book is very telling. I got it sitting here right on my computer. That book is very telling when he goes and talks about the fact that the Nigerians, they got all this oil, and yet they don't know how to find it. They don't know how to refine it, and they don't know how to take it to market. And then when they do, and when it does go to market, since the Europeans found it, extracted it, refined it, when it goes to market, like, let's just say, just to have small numbers. Let's say that, no, actually, I'll use like more legitimate numbers. Let's say that the barrels are being sold for like $100 a barrel. Nigerians get like $30. That's what they get. They get a third of the actual price of the barrel. He broke it down in the book. But what does that have to do with African Americans? Y'all can't make it work in Africa, where you got your own land, and then you come over here to get a job and go work for some white people. African Americans, we try to get some goddamn land and some damn resources. Y'all come over here to get a job, and then act like you made it because you got some 6-figure job working for a white man. And then saying, how come y'all can't do this and get a 6-figure job with the white man like we got a 6-figure job? Not to mention the fact, for all you kick-ass, where we come over to America, Africans, okay, why aren't many of you, why don't I hear more discussions? And I've had some Africans try to hint at this, but only when they're challenged on it. It's not something that you all put forward and is known information, that you all are going out here and actively trying to help Africa. You're not sitting there taking your 6-figure job that you get for working for the white man, because you got no land, over here. You got no natural resources over here. So you come over here, your kids go to college, they get their education, and then what do you do? What do you do? You only go back to Africa to what? Have a Nigerian wedding in Abuja? Like, what do? You go back and I just go back to marry off my cousin and, make it rain at the wedding. But what do? Where is the African, for those of you that actually have a genuine connection to Africa? You speak the damn language. We don't speak the language. You know the culture. We don't speak the culture, or we don't know the culture. We don't eat the food. Right? So you got a direct connection right back to Nigeria. Right? You could be setting up businesses or whatever right here in America and coming up with some sort of manufacturing base in your little small village in Nigeria and saying, look, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to open up a factory and I'm going to do this, and then we're going to manufacture such and such goods and import it back into the U.S. I don't see y'all doing, oh, we can't do that. Oh, why can't you do it? Oh, because our government is fucked up. And whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? That you got a fucked up government and you can't make shit, you can't get shit to you can't work shit out. You know what I'm saying? And I'm using Nigerian as an example because I got more facts and information about Nigeria, but the rest of the African countries aren't any better. You know what I'm saying? Whether you want to say, Sierra Leone or, with their civil war, or whether you want to talk about Angola and their civil war. And the Nigerians with the Biafran War. 1960 happened. Bam. Nigeria became, its own independent state. You know what I mean? And you had a bunch of intellectual brothers. I mean, you can go and find the black and white videos on YouTube. And I'm sitting there, I'm watching the videos of these brothers. You know what I'm saying? These well-educated, scholarly brothers up there speaking about Nigeria. There was like 4 or 5 of them. You know what I mean? That there were, and I think like, A couple of them got assassinated or some shit like that. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm just sitting there just watching the shit. Like, here was the golden opportunity. And what happened? They let their differences, their little tribal bullshit differences get between them. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't have that shit. You know what I mean? Y'all got the, I do not deal with the Yoruba. Oh, I do not deal with the Igbo. You know what I mean? I do not deal with the Hausa. I don't deal with them. You know, I am from the Dudu tribe. I do not deal with them. You know, like, y'all got that bullshit going on. You know what I mean? So, you know, again, and this is another issue, because the only black people who have presented the conversation of Pan-Africanism are African Americans. African Americans. We are the ones that have discussion about, you know, coming together and forming Voltron underneath the umbrella of blackness, just as the Europeans have done. They got different languages and different cultures. In France, they speak French. In Belgium, they speak Dutch. In Germany, they speak German, right? And all these little countries that they got going on, right? They got their own regions with their own languages, and they came up with their own, you know, EU and all that shit. They put all their differences aside, you know what I mean, so that they could rule the rest of the world, so that they could have their sphere of influence and say, hey, let's stop fighting, because Europeans were fighting the hell out of each other. They were fighting the hell out of each other before they discovered, you know, that there's other places out there to freaking conquer and exploit the land, the resources, and the labor of other people. You know what I'm saying? I got a freaking, I own a Mosin Nagant. You know, one of the earliest bolt action rifles that was used in, like, what was that? The Napoleonic Wars or the Tsar Wars, whatever wars it was, because it's a Russian rifle. Mosin Nagant. I bought it for about $150. You know, it's got a bayonet on it and all that shit. Yeah, that shit was designed to kill other white people. That shit wasn't designed for anybody. The Russians didn't go into Africa like that. They are there now because we see all these Africans with their Kalashnikovs and their RPGs and whatnot, which are clearly Russian in design. But the Mosin Nagant, they ain't had nothing to do with Africa. That was only the French, the Germans, the Dutch, the British, you know, and the Italians. Those are the ones that went in there. But what was the point that I was making about all of that? You know, the conflicts and all that. I'm just saying, they formed Voltron. African Americans are saying we need to form Voltron. But again, y'all come over here, you know, you play the model black minority, get patted on the head by white people, and then you start throwing African Americans under the bus, talking about us, and not really understanding the full context of our history and the psychological warfare against us. But yet, if I was to sit there and start talking about Africa and all the issues in Africa, you'd be quick to tell me, well, the British did this and did that, and they drew lines and created countries regardless of ethnic groups and this, that, and the third, and they gave the Tutsis more powers than the Hutus, and that's why they slaughtered each other, because the Hutus were resentful of the Tutsis, you know, all that shit. You start telling me all that. But from an uneducated African American perspective, you know what I mean? All we see is, you know, black people killing other black people. We like, damn, why are they fighting so hard? They not even they got all the children with the flies on their face and they starving and shit like that, and they can't even get along, right? And then again, white supremacy's running and telling us Africa's nothing but a bunch of mud huts and uncivilized people, and it's just a bunch of broke dustiness and whatnot. That's all you see, you know, the starving African children with that old white man with the beard looking like Santa Claus talking about, and for 50 cents a day. That's all we saw, you know? I mean, you would think in these conversations that it would be understood like, damn, yo, we got it wrong about y'all, because this is what we were presented, you know, coming from, you know, the white media. And you would think that y'all would say the same thing. Damn,
we got it wrong. Shit, man, we didn't know about the Klan. We didn't know about Jim Crow. We didn't know about redlining. We didn't know about blockbusting. We didn't know about urban renewal. We didn't know about eminent domain. We didn't know about the Mulford Act. We didn't know about dumping the drugs in the black community via Reagan and the what do you call that? The damn Iran Contras. We didn't know about COINTELPRO. You know what I'm saying? We didn't know about the FBI and how they basically got Farrakhan and Malcolm X to go at each other, right? We didn't know about the FBI tapping, freaking Martin Luther King. We didn't know about Richard Aoki. You know what I'm saying? We didn't know, right? But no, y'all just come over and do not date the Akata. That's all y'all do. You don't take the time, to pick up on the shit. Continuing, where am I at? To conclude my analysis, where am I at? What I decode over the time is that African Americans, right? Is that where I am? Yeah, African Americans that had become natives to America due to slavery or lost sovereignty were in secret competition with Caucasian Americans. What is secret competition with Caucasian Americans? That's the group that's dominating us. That's what you're supposed to be in competition with. If they hold all the cards and all the economic opportunities, that's who you're supposed to be in economic competition with. All communities are in competition with one another. More so, that they believe they are superior to them. Now, I've heard arguments about this bullshit, right? And this goes about to Dr. Hendrik Clark, right? Things that tend to be inferior, don't need further assistance in falling to the bottom. And when you look at what white supremacy, did, white supremacy does everything in its power to, cripple the African, right? I mean, think about it, right? Oh, niggas are too dumb to read, but yet they create laws that say if you teach a slave how to read, we're going to, you're punished, or we're going to kill the slave, and then we're going to kill or punish the white person that taught the slave how to read, right? Oh, black people don't know how to be quarterbacks on the football team. I remember when they said that shit, that it's a high IQ position, and blacks don't know how to be quarterbacks and whatnot. But yet we don't want niggas to read because they might communicate with each other and exchange notes and information and tactics with each other and might coordinate against us. Oh, so we can coordinate together on some Nat Turner shit, right, to take them the fuck out, but we can't coordinate on the football field. Like, get the fuck out of here, right? And again, a part of the brainwashing, it's not a matter of we believed them to be superior. They set it up to make it look like they're superior. That's how you create an inferiority complex. You start blocking things off. You say, oh, we're not going to show black people doing excellent things. We're not going to show that. We're going to make it so that, it looks like that, only we are capable of doing things, when in reality, it's not that you're incapable of doing things. We just make it virtually impossible for you to showcase your talents and inspire others to go out here and do the same thing. And the same thing happened with freaking Haiti. That's why Haiti, they buried Haiti. They made sure that Haiti wasn't going to be an example of a successful slave revolt, because they didn't want Haiti to inspire other black peoples around the world, other enslaved black peoples around the world. That they would have had a complete mess on their hands if there was some form of communication that Haiti had a slave revolt and they won. And man, there would have been slave revolts if there was a further advancement in technology and let's say slavery happened like today. You know what I mean? And message, look how messages get around the world. You see what's happening in Afghanistan and elsewhere. Just imagine if they had that sort of information. If the slaves in Brazil were like, wait a minute, they revolted in Haiti. If the slaves in the South and in America were like, wait a minute, Haiti revolted and they won. Man, please, it would be absolute chaos. So in order to create superiority or inferiority complex, you have to deny people information. That's how that works. Continuing, in many ways, it could be true, but the numbers do not reflect it in America because there just isn't that many African Americans. What are you talking about? There's not that many African Americans. There's 41 million African Americans. There's more African Americans in America than there are Canadians total. That's a small population to you? Anyway, this puts African Americans in a complicated situation because although capable of superiority, the population just isn't there and never will be. Now, who has the inferiority complex here? Like, motherfucker, we're cut from the same cloth, but yet he has the audacity to say that African Americans, we just never will accomplish anything. We're just, although capable of superiority, the population just isn't there and never will be. Well, if you never will be, or as it isn't there, then you're not capable at any point. Like, again, not making sense. The continent of North Africa and South America have better access for Caucasian immigrants to the United States or Europe. I don't know what that sentence has to do with the preceding sentence. It's like a non sequitur. It is an extreme journey to immigrate from Africa. Even with the technology of present day, it hasn't gotten easier. I don't know what are you saying here? Again, it hasn't even been detailed how this guy got over here. It hasn't been detailed. Again, it costs money to get over here. You got to have some sort of skill set. So who was the educated person? Your father? Your mother? Who? Did you have a cousin or an uncle or something that, did that whole chain visa thing? Like, again, no details here. To conclude my analysis of, I'm sorry, I didn't know this was an analysis. To conclude my analysis of living with the Caucasian American to my living with the African American is the main difference lies in the cooperation and acceptance. The African American is uncooperative and refuses to accept the state of their condition. That's why we're sitting on here talking and discussing the state of our condition, and you're in my comments section. But I digress. The African American is still an African and therefore has superiority in various ways, but still heavily outnumbered, which affects the overall result. What, nigga? Like, what? So now we're African. Well, if we're African, then we're cut from the same cloth as you, but you just got finished saying that complicated situation because although capable of superiority, the population just isn't there and never will be. So again, sounds like you have the inferiority complex. Continuing, the African American is unfortunately caught in a trauma cycle. I agree with that. Fighting a war that already ended. The Caucasian American understands their inferiority, but has accepted its condition and has found ways to take advantage of its place. Okay, your sentences are trash, my guy. Finding success in cooperation with each other and with those that will cooperate with them, although due to their inferiority complex, it's natural for them to backstab, weaken those who they feel could overtake their place. I'm going to read that again. Finding success in cooperation with each other and with those that will cooperate with them, although due to their inferiority complex, it's natural for them to backstab, weaken those who they feel could overtake them. So what are you saying here? That they they cooperate with what? Africans, like straight Africans. But they feel that they're inferior to Africans, but then they'll backstab the Africans because they feel that the Africans will overtake them. So my question is, what position are you playing? If they're the backstabbing type, what position are you playing as it pertains to the system of white supremacy? Do you recognize that or do you not recognize? What position are you playing? Are you being the spook by the door, or like I'm trying to understand what position you're playing. Are you going along with white supremacy, or are you the spook by the door? So when you say African immigrants act like they're better, it's not an act. It's just natural. Oh, it's just naturally is like that. It's just I'm not gonna rip too much on his grammar because he probably speaks 2 languages, and so anybody who speaks 2 languages I give kudos to. But so when you say African immigrants act like they're better, it's not an act. It's just it just naturally is like that. Okay, then again, tell me why, if Africans are, these Africans that are coming over here are just naturally better, why can't they make it work on their own soil? Why can't they produce excellence on their own soil if it's just so natural for them to be better? If it's so natural for them to be excellent? African immigrants are not traumatized by Caucasian Americans. Again, we know this to be bullshit. We know our true home, our true environment. We are bred in the lands that is our natural habitat, so we understand our roots. What significance do your roots have if you leave your place of origin, go to another place, and then raise your children in that environment? Because those children will not know those roots, especially by the 3rd or 4th generation. And then not only that, this reinforces what I said about when you have a group of people whose entire identity, culture, and language, belief system, history, orientations, hierarchies have been totally stripped away from them. And yes, African Americans are a damaged people. But again, this dude is reinforcing what I said about this superiority complex of the we just are. What are you, a goddamn mutant? What are you, Magneto and shit? We are just superior. We are above these humans. Like who are you? This gives us the ability to delegate, negotiate, demonstrate without feeling the need to be in constant competition with the other humans around us. If that were the case, why can't you do that from Africa? Why can't you be in competition with other humans around you by making Africa a successful place that even we as African Americans could be proud of? We still follow the natural law of progression. Oh, here we go into the magical shit. The natural law of progression. I don't even know what the fuck that means. The environments that are not conducive to growth for African Americans were created by African Americans in an attempt to compete with Caucasian Americans, and this is again due to trauma. So let me get this right. So you're going to say that the ghettos that black people were put in were created by African Americans in an attempt to economically compete with Caucasian. How are we put into an environment that lacks resources to somehow utilize that environment to compete with Caucasians? That's not even a good plan. That doesn't even make sense. What this guy is saying. Okay, like now I'm like done with. I'm just trying to rush to the end because like I see where this dude's head is at. Again, do y'all see why we digging y'all Africans' asses? Y'all see why? Let this be evidence of why we as African Americans come for y'all fucking necks. Solution: if African Americans decided to mass migrate to Africa with the knowledge and wealth they would have gained all these centuries in Western Africa, they could be gods. Oh, so now we're capable all of a sudden. Fucking Lamar. All these foolish debates and non-progressive issues would be the past. The power that African Americans are looking for is in Africa, not the Western worlds. Even Caucasians would follow you there, but this time you understand how the game is played. Again, stupid. If you're even aware of this, why isn't your black ass in Africa? Unfortunately, darker skinned people are always trying to prove their superiority to lighter skinned people and vice versa. And like I said in the beginning, it exists in Africa too, but we know better now. America is the extreme of it all. Cooperation plus acceptance plus understanding equals progression. TLDR, I don't know what that means. Africans are true to their nature. African Americans are hard stuck in trauma cycle. Caucasian Americans accept anyone who accept them as far they don't compete or leave them behind. The end. I'm gonna read that again because I'm not reading that fucked up. It is fucked up. Africans are true to their nature. African Americans are hard stuck in the trauma cycle. Again, I agree with the trauma cycle, but who inflicted the trauma? And then Africans are true to their nature again, or this argument that Africans have no trauma from neo-colonialism and all the other, coon shit that they do, like the dumbass shit that they do with these British ass wigs. Anyway, and then the skin bleaching and the freaking beehive wigs that they wear and the Nollywood and all that. Don't get me started. Anyway, Caucasian Americans accept anyone who accept them as far they don't compete or leave them behind. I don't even know what that last sentence is saying. But this whole Caucasian Americans accept anyone who accept them. See, now we're in coon territory. Now see, Massa, I'm not like them other Negroes. I ain't like them. Oh, Massa, you want me to do a little soft shoe? I entertain you, Massa. Hey, Massa, you want me to dance for you? I can do a little jig, Massa. This is why we come for these Africans next. Word. This is Jose J. Bronze. I don't know who this is. It sounds like a white. That's what it says. Jose J. Bronze. It's just a comment underneath. I just want to see what it says. And it says, word, as an immigrant for 50 years in the Netherlands, I can tell you that my generation is as African American producing confused black generations. Fresh immigrants think we are goofy, no or strange family value, consumerist mentality, low value of culture, or completely lost the culture. I must add, as a Cape Verdean, mind you, Cape Verdeans are mixed race, they're not black. I come from a country that already had its own ADOS, foundational Black American-like conflict with self, we a new race, and more, at least he acknowledged it, and more of that nonsense claiming to be not African and not Portuguese, just as long as it's not African. And would you know us only from the diaspora and tourism advertisements, you would actually believe it. But on the islands themselves, we black, African, period. It's the half-breeds running from Africa and breeding whiter in Europe and America. Okay, I like I said, I'm not going to rip on anybody's grammar, in particular who speaks two different languages, because I know that's difficult. But I don't know how helpful it is to engage in debate when I don't really understand like what you're trying to say. So maybe if I read the comments before, I wouldn't have made this video, but I made the video. And again, there's some key mentalities in here that are very problematic and have been problematic, which is why Africans continue to get that smoke, and even Caribbeans continue to get that smoke from African Americans. These people cannot lead black people as a collective to the promised land. That's all I can say. But anyway, I'm done with this video. That's like 40 minutes for y'all. So that's my video, SWPL. I got some other videos that just have backed up. It's the weekend, so I might have a chance to upload some of the stuff. I'm still busy, but I'll see if I can post some of this stuff. Anyway, that's my video, SWPL.